So what I like to do quickly is to do a case study. This one involves Professor Hart, who came to MIT in 1992. He was joined by his postdoc in 1996. And they were actually into microfluidic movement. And they needed to develop an optical system so that they could see how fluid was moving. And so they spent a considerable amount of time developing image processing technology. 10 years after evolving that, they realized that, my gosh, they had a way that they could do this 1,000 times faster than anyone else. They could take 2D images and make a 3D map. They could very accurately know dimensions. And they thought, well, this is something we should form a business around. But frankly, they had no clue as to what the market would be. Great technology had taken 10 years to evolve in the academic environment, was about ready to bud, but for what? Not sure what the commercial application is. So they were induced to apply, and they got a grant from the Deshpande Center, a small grant. Also, they didn't have the 100K, then they only had the 50K, so they applied for that and got that. And what that encouraged them to do was to form an interdisciplinary team. They were able to attract 2 Harvard MBA students, Rick and Micah, who then came alongside with them and formed a team. So we have this, again, this interdisciplinary, 2-boundary meeting of the technical and the business. And their goal was to figure out what is the market for this. And they, of course, looked at it first extremely broad. They looked at 35 potential applications of this technology. And the criteria that they came up with was they wanted something that had a significant market size as their beachhead to justify the cost of development. They wanted to have something where they could sell a product directly to the customer without a lot of barriers that they had to move through. They wanted something that was scalable. They wanted something where their technology provided a significant advantage. These are the 35 potential applications that they worked through. And it's not as easy as you think. So the sexiest areas, which were face recognition and medical applications, they found out, to their dismay, were either too small or too fragmented to justify the large expenditure of the development effort that would be necessary. Then they focused on machine vision, which is what the technical guys thought would be the best product. But when they went into that and looked at the industry, it was characterized by small companies only hitting certain small niche applications. So the family told them, give up, do something else. But Eric, one of the Harvard MBA students, went to his dentist, and the process of getting a filling done, he asked his family dentist, well, what's a big problem that dentists face? What do your patients really hate? And he said, well, they hate dental impressions. If you've had a dental impression done, they stick this plate in your mouth with a lot of, some sort of plastic or something, and you have to sit there with that for about 20 minutes. It's uncomfortable for the patient. It's very time consuming, and it's expensive, and it isn't that accurate. So the light went off because he realized that this probe that they had developed could very easily go into the oral cavity, enable you to actually determine the dimensions very quickly. This 3-dimensional array then could then go to a machine which can accurately carve out the denture. So they liked this. So they rearranged the whole company in July of 2003, focusing on this dental impression market. It was a market that had a good size for them. There are about 150 million denture impressions that are done each year globally. It's about a $2.5 billion market. In the US, there's about 160,000 dentists, and they're all very entrepreneurial professionals, so they make the buying decision themselves. And if you can tell them you can save $25,000 a year, and you can make your patients happy, you have a sale. So what happened, again, progressively, in this example, 2002, they got a grant from the Deshpande Center. They struggled for almost a year and a half, and in July 2003, they knew the market they wanted to go after. In 2004, they raised $3 million in seed money, started building their team, started building their prototypes. In 2005, they raised $5 million again in Series A funding. By October of 2006, they had the beta system that they had built tested in multiple dental offices, and suddenly the money starts coming in. They had a commitment for 25 million Series B, they had 5 potential acquisition bids, and they decided to sell the company for 95 million to 3M. Pretty good rate of return for 8 million becoming 95 million. And this is what's being sold by 3M. You can see the dental probe is right there. This is the product, the software that's in the dental office, and this is what produces the dentures and the implants. So what's the lesson learned? And I've divided this into, again, the 4 components: the academic, the T-1, which is where the Deshpande Center focuses, the T=0, and the T+1. So the first thing you have to realize is that this wasn't a fly-by-night thing. It was something that had evolved after 10 years of serious R&D within an academic center. And they saw something that they realized was very unique commercially. But frankly, they didn't know what the market would be. And had they gone right at that point where they thought maybe it's for some sort of computer vision, if they had gone to a company at that point, they would have failed. So they moved into the Deshpande Center model, whether it's done in the Deshpande Center or whether it's done in any institution or done informally. They put together an interdisciplinary team, and they figured out a go-to-market strategy. A market strategy that correlated a technical push with a market pull. And they also were able to hire 2 postdocs with the funding so that they were able to further reduce the practice of prototype, so that they could then attract the funding in T=0, launch the company, pull in their management team, pull in their other technical team members, start building a prototype further and starting to penetrate the market. And then for them, the growth phase was relatively easy because they were acquired by 3M. So what we want to do, or what Deshpande realized, is this T-1 phase is very important. And so what they do is say, okay, don't try to jump all the way over to the commercial sector. Jump just from the academic center to the company formation phase, and go over this T-1 bridge, which involves 3 elements, which I'll go over: a grant, a catalyst program, which is a mentoring program, and I-teams, which are interdisciplinary teams made up of MBA students and technical teams to come up with go-to-market strategies. And the rest of the presentation, I'm going to refer to these little buttons down here: how we select our projects, how we direct them so that they meet these commercial endpoints, and then how we connect. As Rich mentioned, connecting is so critical so that the right players can be assembled to build a company going forward. So my job was to look at the Deshpande Center and create a similar system within a Singapore ecosystem. And we're trying to do 2 things. One is to create a user-friendly environment to promote faculty entrepreneurship. The assumption is that in any institution, 1 or 2% of the faculty will jump that boundary and will commercialize their technology. But if you could create an environment where another 6 to 8% could do that, you would develop a significant pipeline of product opportunities. And then, of course, as with Deshpande Center, to accelerate it from the laboratory into the marketplace by de-risking the technology and coming up with a very important go-to-market strategy. Let me again step back for a second and tell you that SMART isn't a cab company, although it is.